What's up, everybody? This is Paul Trinidad back with another video. Today, I'm going to talk to you a bit about how partners or value added resellers price their own services and projects. So, when it comes to wanting to implement things like CRM or business software applications inside of your company with an external vendor like us, for example, a lot of people come to the first couple calls and they want to know how much is this going to cost. Now, this can be a challenge for us as the provider to really nail down that cost. And the main reason is because we don't know the extent of the complexity of your data, of your needs. All these things can evolve and they can add a bit of complexity. So it's a bit hard to shout a price. But when you are shopping with a partner or a value added reseller, you need to understand the two types of pricing and how they work so you can decide what's best for you. So let's go ahead and get into that. The first type of model is going to be hourly pricing. Now, this is an extremely common practice among service providers. And essentially, what happens is the service provider, will ask you for an hourly rate. You can invest in a set number of hours, and then we will continue to work on your project based on the hours you have remaining. So, for example, a typical project with us, somebody might come to us for a CRM implementation. They might want a migration, they might want their CRM set up, and they might want to be trained on that. So, let's say those take 10, 20, and 5 hours respectively. Essentially, we will apply an hourly rate and we will plan to do those phases within that. Now, let's say, for example, we get to the data migration and things are actually more complex than we thought. Let's say the data is very messy. Let's say we're going to have to spend a ton of time cleaning up this data in order to prepare it for migration. That might expand the scope a bit. But since we are on an hourly model, we can discuss this with the client. We can communicate to them the issues, and then we can just expand the number of hours on this project. So it provides it's a bit more of an agile approach. It's kind of more pay as you go. It gives a lot of transparency to the client, and we're able to modify the course of actions to reflect the current scenario and what's the best way to carry it out. Now, that isn't always the preference for the client, right? A lot of times, CEOs, decision makers, they want to know exactly what they are getting into ahead of time. So if hourly isn't your forte, then you're going to have to go for a fixed price project. Now, we occasionally will offer these as well at our firm. However, conceptually, what we're looking at is a precise final cost of the project. So basically, what that means is we're clearly defining a scope. We know A, B, C things are going to be done. We know how they're going to be done, who is going to do them, the timeline behind them. All those types of things are what we consider in a fixed price project. Now, that all sounds great from a purchasing point of view, but what can cause a lot of errors with this is there are no room for changes during project implementation. So if something comes up, if you forgot an automation, if you forgot a data source, we have to have a tougher conversation about, hey, this can't be included. It needs to be in the next phase. Everything is in production already. Um, and one other thing to also anticipate is some service providers, in order to make sure that they are covering, themselves, might just give you a higher initial cost to begin with. So those are kind of the two project, fixed price versus hourly pricing. They both have their benefits. You as a customer, if you're continuously going hour by hour, you really have to have a great trust with the partner that you're using to make sure you're getting the most out of it. So some things I would recommend is ask them for a log of the hours, ask them to track things by milestone. Even though you're paying hourly, you still want to make sure the milestones are getting done. And one thing I would encourage is stick to one thing at a time. When you start in a bank of hours, it's easy to look at 100 hours and think you have plenty of time. But if you start five, six initiatives, those hours will go by really quickly. Focus on one thing at a time, get it done, and renew your hours the way you see fit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that explains kind of the two pricing models that you should be aware of when shopping for a partner. If you all have any questions, need help with CRM or marketing, give me your advisors a call. We're a Zoho Premium Partner, and I'm happy to also talk to you about your selection process. Thanks so much. My name is Paul Trinidad, and don't forget to like and subscribe.